The Sun and Wayward Stars by ThBiButterfly. Chapter 5, Societal Value. The wind whipped through his hair, sending the strands flipping wildly around his face. Regulus reveled in this feeling, zipping around the goals, then shot straight up in the air. He allowed his broom full speed, circling the pitch from way up high. After several smooth, elegant loops and swirls, he angled his broom at the ground and flew straight down, pulling up at the last moment to skim his heels along the grass. This was his favorite place to be, outside the lab. The pitch was small, but the exhilaration of flying was still as vibrant as ever. Regulus often wished he never had to land, and could spend all of eternity speeding through the air. There was no pain, no worry, no stress in the air. All of that returned the moment he touched the ground. "Oi, knock that off!" Sirius called from the ground, glaring at him. "No," Regulus refused, skyrocketing back up into the air. Potter laughed, then threw the quaffle at Sirius. "Let him be, Sirius. He's not crashed yet." "Yet" being the operative word, Sirius snapped, grabbing the quaffle out of the air and whipping it back at Potter. "Funny you don't fuss at me for making risky moves," Potter taunted, circling Sirius on his broom. "Don't you love me anymore?" he teased, ruffling Sirius' hair as he passed. "You're a twit. If you crash, it's just another concussion." "He's brilliant. If he crashes, the world loses an incredible mind," Sirius retorted. "It's simple societal values, James." He smirked at Potter's dramatic gasp. "Tell me I'm wrong." Potter huffed. "My marks in transfiguration are always higher than yours." Sirius rolled his eyes. "Fine. James, stop acting like a brat on your broom." "See, I knew you loved me," Potter crooned, landing abruptly and tackle-hugging Sirius to the ground. Regulus ground his teeth together, seeing from his vantage point above the goals. He'd almost forgotten about his hatred for Potter after the Animagus revelation last night. The bloke nearly charmed him out of his vendetta, which was wholly unacceptable. Bloody charisma be damned. He swooped through the goals and plotted a worthy revenge. The best way to defeat a charistic enemy is to prove himself imperious to the friendly overtures Potter seemed determined to make. As he evaluated the situation, Regulus noted that Potter focused far more intently on him when he was mean. When he was relaxed around Potter, the bloke returned to Sirius. That was one mystery solved. Potter really did like a challenge. Plummeting to the ground again, this time Regulus reached out and snatched Potter's broom, dragging it skywards as he zipped upright. He carried the broom well beyond summoning distance and muttered a locomotion spell before setting it free. By the time Potter noticed its absence, Regulus was busy chasing the snitch, pretending to be completely oblivious. Regulus dove after the tiny ball, quickly recovering it, and then setting it loose again. "What the fuck?" Potter groaned, watching his broom shimmy across the sky. "How'd you manage that?" Sirius asked, cackling with laughter. Regulus kept his expression completely unaffected as he listened to Sirius taunt Potter for letting his broom fly off. It was incredibly satisfying, and grew even more so when the broom shot past him in a bit of freeform amidst the trees. After several attempts to flag Regulus down, Potter bolted for the tree line on foot. Only then did Regulus land. "Sirius," he called, tucking the broom beneath his arm. "Mind if we get a bite to eat? I'm famished." "Yeah, all right," Sirius agreed, falling into step with Regulus. James would likely be chasing that bloody broom for ages. What a twit. Nodding in agreement, Regulus tilted his head towards Sirius. "How do you lose a broom, of all things?" Clapping his hands together, Sirius grinned. "Oh, that sort of things happen to him all the time. It's like he's cursed, honestly." Regulus fought hard to hold back his smile. It was true. strangely annoying things happened to Potter often, not as coincidentally as Sirius might think. As it happened, Regulus was rather good at time delay spells and enjoyed watching Potter get flustered. When Potter finally blustered into the house, his face contorted in fury. He threw his broom at the cupboard and dropped into a chair, far more force than was necessary. Sirius took one look at his thunderous expression and promptly slid closer to Regulus. Hiding his glee was nearly impossible. "What's wrong, Jamie?" Effie asked, glancing up from her newspaper. The prophet floated just past her fingertips. Potter grunted. "Bloody broom tried to kill me. When I finally got hold of it, it tried to... It tried to buck me off." Shaking with silent laughter he could no longer contain, Regulus turned his head and pressed his face into Sirius's shoulder. His brother glanced over at him, seemed to work out rather quickly, then patted his head proudly. Luckily, Potter was too busy ranting to note his little meltdown before Regulus pulled himself together. Inhaling deeply, he affixed the unaffected look he'd mastered by the age of 9 to his face. "Now, Jamie," Effie soothed, "even brooms have bad days. Chalk it up to that and move on, all right?" She smiled softly at him. "You received a letter from Remus. That should cheer you up." "Wait, Remus wrote to you and not to me?" Sirius asked, face filled with hurt. Effie huffed a laugh. "No, yours is here too." She flicked her wand slightly, and the 2 letters flew towards the boys. Glancing up at Regulus, she winked. "You got one too, actually." Regulus reached out for the letter as it soared towards him, curious what Remus could possibly have to say to him. Both Potter and Sirius tore into the letters, mouthing the words as they read them. Regulus huffed a quiet laugh at the 2 of them. Slipping his finger beneath the seal of his own letter, Regulus carefully slid it open. "Regulus, I know you may find it a strange request, but I saw an opportunity and I can't help myself. I'll be over to visit tomorrow afternoon and would like to talk to you privately. It's important. Cheers, R. Lupin." Humming to himself, Regulus shrugged and tucked the note into his pocket. When he glanced up, he found Potter and Sirius staring at him expectantly. His eyes flitted between them. "Can I help you?" "Why did he write to you?" Sirius prompted, head tilted to the side in a practically canine way. "He wants to speak with me privately," Regulus replied. Potter frowned. "About what?" Arching an eyebrow, Regulus lifted his chin. "None of your concern." Sirius nudged his elbow. "Come on, what's it about?" "I do not owe either of you an explanation," Regulus said, abruptly standing from his seat. He figured this was as good as an opportunity as any to slip off to the library. "Reggie, what are you hiding something?" Sirius asked quietly, fingers circling his wrist. Regulus rolled his eyes and spoke low so Potter couldn't hear. "No, Sirius, he didn't say what it was about." Nodding, Sirius released his wrist and sat back to the sofa. "All right then, go on." As he moved towards the doorway, Regulus felt Potter's eyes boring into his back. A smug little grin slid across his face as he left, knowing Potter had no idea he was the one responsible for the broom running wild. There was supreme satisfaction in befuddling the bloke that girls and lads alike swooned over. It left Regulus feeling powerful. He quickly climbed the staircase and turned left, ducking into the library. Within minutes he settled himself in a cozy settee in the back, curled up with a Muggle fantasy novel. These are a secret pleasure of his. Regulus found it fascinating to see what Muggles thought of magical creatures and how magic changed their world. Bit of psychological examination, really. A soft tune rattled around his mind and without fail, it soon wormed its way into his subconsciousness. Regulus hummed the tune to himself as he read, smiling at the lyrics turning in his brain. Muggle books reminded him of Muggle music, while he didn't have a great deal of experience with it. His favorite thus far was Bohemian Rhapsody. I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce that, so I'm very sorry. The chaotic flavor of the song was serious encapsulated, and he found that comforting. Well, I can't say I expected you to like Queen, Potter commented, appearing from the air right next to him. Regulus jumped, nearly dropping the novel. Potter, where do you come from? None of your concern, Potter said loftily, stuffing something into his pocket. Closing his eyes as he inhaled deeply, Regulus tried to calm his heart palpitations. When he reopened them, Potter was studying him. Ignoring the bloke entirely, Regulus returned to his book. He refused to waste time in assuaging the curiosity of this brother-stealing knob. Potter continued to stand next to him, openly absolving, as though he'd never seen someone read before. He squinted. Why are you so jumpy? You've been friends with Sirius for 6 years, and you don't know why I'm jumpy? Snarked Regulus, eyes focusing on his book. He flipped the page forcefully, despite not reading a word. You're familiar with my family, I presume? All right, that's fair, Potter conceded, shrugging. He dropped into the settee near Regulus's feet. Why'd you pick a Muggle book? Isn't that a bit blood treachery? Regulus stared intently at the novel. That's not a word. Is now. Answer the question, Potter insisted, scooting closer. No. Potter crossed his arms over his chest. Why are you so rude? I thought we were finally getting on. You were mistaken, Regulus replied, curtly. I am not. You were being almost nice to me at the window. What changed? Potter asked, laying a hand on Regulus's ankle. Pulling his legs back abruptly, Regulus quickly tucked them underneath his body. Potter's infuriating grin turned smug when he slid even closer, taking up the space Regulus's legs facaded. Eyeing him over the top of his book, Regulus huffed. You're delusional. He snatched the book out of Regulus's hand and he held it over his head. Stop that! What's your problem with me, Regulus? You're a thief, Regulus snapped, reaching for the book. Potter pulled it back, just behind his own head. Annoyed, Regulus pushed up into his knees and tried again. Maybe so, but I don't think that's it, Potter taunted, jumping to his feet and holding the book up higher. I think you're jealous. Regulus paused mid-swipe for the book. Jealous? Why would I be jealous of you? He leaned back, rested his bum on his heels and gaped. Now I know you're delusional. Potter smirked, clearly amused that he'd flustered Regulus. He wiggled the book in the air. Jealous of Sirius for getting so close to me. Are you just in awe of me or just intimidated? That's all right. I don't mind either way. Oh, piss off, Potter. Regulus ground through his clenched teeth. He leaped to his feet and grabbed hold of the book, now a full foot taller than Potter, with a settee beneath him. Refusing to let go, Potter yanked the book back, leading to a brief tug-of-war. Regulus focused solely on the book, refusing to acknowledge the curly-haired nuisance beneath him. He leaned forward, pulling insistently. Just when he thought he had a good grip, Potter yanked it hard. Regulus gasped as he tipped off the edge of the settee, hands flaying. The book crashed to the floor as Potter released it in favor of trying to catch him. Momentum forced Regulus forward at full speed, sending both of them tumbling. A loud grunt escaped Potter as his back hit the floor. Regulus landed directly on top of him. Hands braced against the taller body's chest and legs splayed. Immediately, he scrambled to get up and away from Potter, but he found himself stuck, with Potter's hands planted firmly on his back. Held in place, Regulus pushed at Potter's chest. "Release me, you knob." "Not until you tell me. Why are you so prickly all of a sudden?" Potter panted out, obviously winded from the fall, but wrapped his arms tighter around Regulus's waist. "Tell me the truth." Huffing in frustration, Regulus swatted at his chest. "No, let me go." "I won't," Potter refused, squeezing him tighter together. "Start talking." "Potter, if you don't release me immediately—" "You'll do what?" Potter interrupted. "You're hardly in a position to make threats." Regulus' face flushed with anger. "Stop it! Let me go." Each word was punctuated with a shove against Potter's chest. He was holding himself as far back from the other bloke as he could, but should his hand move, their chests would be pressed tightly together. As his frustration increased, Regulus became startlingly aware of the way Potter's muscular body felt beneath his fingertips. It only added to his determination to escape. "Don't think I will," Potter retorted, eyes narrowing at Regulus. "Explain yourself." "No," Regulus refused, redoubling his efforts. He shoved hard against Potter's chest and kicked out at the floor, nearly breaking free of his hold. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reach for his pocket for his wand, though. Potter's face registered his surprise, and he quickly tossed the leg over Regulus's hips, flipping their positions. Now he straddled Regulus's belly, his knees on the floor on either side of Regulus's hips, hands flailing at him. Regulus shoved as hard at his chest, starting to panic. Potter promptly grabbed his wrist and slammed them to the floor above his head. Leaning over him, Potter lifted his feet to embrace Regulus's thighs on the floor. The brat promptly abolished him. "Stop fighting me. You wasn't serious," Potter demanded, one hand holding both his wrist husbands while the other gripped Regulus's chin. "What the fuck is your problem?" "You!" Regulus shouted, wrenching his face away from Potter and wiggling wildly. "Get off of me!" "Not until you tell me the truth," Potter shot back, stretching out his body and pressing Regulus firmly into the floor. "What's your problem with me?" Regulus glared. "You're an arrogant asshole. That's the problem." "Oh, don't say that," Potter scoffed in exasperation, his face contorting into a grimace. He needed to break free, get away from this self-obsessed prick as quickly as possible. Fighting hard against the grip on his hands and legs, Regulus refused to meet his eyes. There was zero chance he'd allow himself to be captive, especially by James fucking Potter. "Let me up, you conceited prat." Potter's body tensed abruptly. Fuck. Stop moving, Regulus. I'll let you up, just... His voice wavered, and his hold on Regulus's wrist tightened. Please, stop fidgeting." "No, you're a prick," Regulus argued, wiggling underneath him. "A useless, daft, irritating... Regulus, stop fucking moving and shut it." Potter ground out, his voice clearly strained. He pressed his face into his bicep. "Just give me a fucking second and I'll let go." "Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you, Potter? For me to let you win." Regulus snapped, his anger finally breaking through. "Not bloody likely." He fought vigorously, arching up to push Potter after him. Regulus's eyes flashed wide when he felt a rather firm, appendage prod against his belly. As his brain processed Potter's apparent erection, his entire body ceased its movement. Potter groaned miserably, low in his throat, the teeth embedded in his bottom lip. His eyes fluttered close as he took a deep, steadying breath. Potter winced hard. "Sorry, fuck. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Regulus stared at him in shock. "What? You... I I don't. His entire body reacted at once, nerves tingling as his skin heated. Horrifyingly, he felt his own cock twitch with interest. A surge of adrenaline burst inside him as he descended into a full-blown panic. Wrenching his arms free, Regulus twisted his body. Potter scrambled, trying to remain his balance, leaning to the left. Regulus rolled right, kicking his legs free and tucking into a fetal position. Potter let out a wholly defeated sound as he crashed into his back, arms thrown over his eyes. Without hesitation, Regulus leapt to his feet and bolted for the door. He didn't dare look back at Potter, focused solely on escape. Nearly exploding through the doorway, Regulus ran down the hall and up the stairs. Just as he turned the corner towards his room, he heard Sirius call out for him. Unwilling to face his brother right now, he ducked into his room and slammed the door. His hands flew to his waist, intending to block the door with an impediment spell. He grappled with his pockets, finding them empty. Regulus cursed, swiveling his heel to survey the room. Seeing no other option, he grabbed the chair next to the desk and shoved it under the door handle. Clambering up into his bed, Regulus buried himself under his quilt. His hands trembled, and his face burned with embarrassment as realization set in. Not him. Anyone but him. Hello. So, that was interesting chapter. The tension is getting higher, and I absolutely love this chapter for it. I also had to laugh a few times. I just couldn't help myself. I'm very sorry if that bothered you. Have a very nice day, and if you want to read ahead, the link is in my description to this fic. Have a very nice day, and for fuck's sakes, bye. Just bye.